Hello, welcome back to the Football Terrace. Good morning to each and every single one of you tuning in. Really do appreciate the support as ever. On my way up into London today, and of course big news circulating around Old Trafford. It broke pretty late last night, and myself and many Man United fans and football fans from around the country have spent a lot of the evening and the morning debating this news, speaking of this news, and I wanted to, of course, come to my channel, to you all, and speak about this big fight, this big bust-up, this clash between Ole Gunnar Solskjær and Anthony Martial has reared its head. I, for one, am not surprised that Martial and maybe other individuals are going to start being singled out by Ole. The lack of effort was publicly demonstrated by Anthony Martial during the warm-up for the game, standing around, not showing any kind of enthusiasm. I've seen people defend that, by the way, with he knew he wasn't playing. But, you know, the reason Marcus Rashford got his opportunity in a Man United shirt was because of an injured squad, and then Martial himself picking an injury up during the warm-up. So you always need to be ready, you need to be on fire, you need to be able to step up to the plate when called upon. And the reports are suggesting that Ole Gunnar Solskjær berated, shouted at, gave the hairdryer treatment to Anthony Martial in front of the entire squad, in front of all of his teammates. There has been no media speculation of the reaction of that of Anthony Martial. Nobody has spoken about how he felt, how he reacted, whether players sort of stood up for the player, whether they sided with the manager. But this is, for me, it feels like Groundhog Day. We have been here before. We saw a massive power struggle between Jose Mourinho and his squad, one of those main members being Anthony Martial. There was debates and conversations for months, absolute months, as to whether or not the players were being lazy, whether they had the right to not try 100% because they didn't agree with the tactics, whether it was because of poor man management of the previous head coach, Jose Mourinho. And a lot of people came to the consensus and to the understanding and belief that, well, actually, look, Jose's negative football, the way he's thrown players under the bus publicly, and how he doesn't know how to manage and develop youngsters and play attractive football, they are the reasons why the likes of Anthony Martial, Pogba potentially, don't want to play for him and are not giving 100%. And I understand all of that, and it makes complete and utter sense to me, as it would anybody else. The issue that you have, though, is hindsight's, of course, a very lucrative commodity after the fact. We now have a new manager, and the run of form has been awful, we know this. But in the opening 2 to 3 months, all those wins, those open, attacking, expansive displays, the players continually praising Ole Gunnar Solskjær for allowing them to express themselves, for playing more attacking football, for understanding and believing in them more, for coaching them. This for me made a lot of people agree with the fact that the problems were maybe more of Jose Mourinho's making. But we now go through another tough period. There are now individual players that are considering moving on to other clubs. There are now players that maybe they are questioning Ole Gunnar Solskjær. Maybe they are downing tools slightly, trying a bit less. But that precedent has already been set with these players. The board, a big percentage of the fan base, have told these individuals now for a couple of years that because of your talent, because of your ability, the money you make the club through marketing and image rights, because of all of that, you can stand up to a manager, even when that manager is right, and you can decide when you try hard. You can decide whether or not you agree with the tactics, the formation. Your opinion counts for more than the head coach, than with the working staff around you. Your opinion is it. You're God, essentially, at the football club. That is player power at its worst. That, for me, is fully integrated within this squad. And the question for me, really, I don't even want to debate as such whether Anthony Martial is or is not lazy, whether he thinks he's bigger than the club, or whether player power exists. For me, I feel that it absolutely does, and you're going to have to convince me otherwise of that. For me, there's too much evidence, there is too much conversation, there are too many examples now under numerous managers of this type of behaviour. So the big question comes down to whether or not, and this is what we were talking about a few days ago, the board. Are the board going to give the power to Ole Gunnar Solskjær to tackle player power, to win back control of that dressing room? Or are they going to side with the player again? Remember, a player that has just signed a new 5-year deal worth £220,000 a week. Because if Martial throws his toys out of his pram, if a group of players side with him and they try to out this manager, they down tools, they stop playing, they disrespect him, what are the board going to do about it? If we side with the players again, we are just back on the same merry-go-round, and in fact, we're exactly where I said and many Man United fans said we would be, with players running the club, prisoners running the prison. And it only works, you will only yield results when you pander to these individuals and give them every single little thing that they want. You will never build a dynasty again. You'll never build a great team again. You'll never have sustained greatness or success with that type of model. It's been proven. I'm going to jump into your live comments and see what you're all saying on this. Maria Williams says this is nothing new and not Ollie's fault. United need to take a look at other teams that give all the power to the managers as it should be. Otherwise, they will carry on and you'll end up like Chelsea. Completely agree. This is from Abdullah, who says Sanchez, Pogba, Martial should all leave, or as a warning to potential insubordination. Jose is a clown, says Terry, is Ollie strong enough to tackle the players who don't work hard enough? Well, clearly Ollie is. He's berated the individual publicly. Not publicly, I mean in terms of in front of his teammates. What I think's great about that is I don't think this is the first time that Ollie's had an issue with Martial and his work rate and his effort. He spoke recently about he's going to be successful here, but some of these players will not be. There's also a reason why Martial, I know he's had a few injuries, has not featured as regularly as I believed he would under Ollie in this attacking setup. Now, when I talk about Martial's work rate, people try to twist my words, and people like me. When I want him to work hard, I don't think he has to track back all the time. I don't think he has to run around like a headless chicken, jumping into tackles, showing blood, sweat and tears and breaking legs and being a hard man. That isn't what working hard, that isn't desire, that isn't the passion that I want from a player. Let's make this right. With some of the best raw talent at the club and in the Premier League. When he's on fire, he's one of the best players this league has, best players that this club has. The problem that I have is what is he doing off the ball from an attacking sense? He, like Lukaku, and this is proven by their distance covered in a game statistics that were released yesterday, they're too static and lazy. Paul Pogba gets outed so much and it's disrespectful, but it's players like Martial that make Pogba look poor. He's the playmaker, he's the midfielder that gets the ball, goes forward and tries to create space and chances. Martial stands still too much. How often is he running off the shoulder? How much is he making a run, not to receive the ball himself, but to pull a fullback or a centre-back out of line for a midfield runner to go into or to create space for Pogba to move forward? How often is he pressing when Man United don't have the ball? These are the types of laziness. This is the type of laziness I'm talking about. Maybe it is a lack of vision. Maybe he doesn't have that within his arsenal and his makeup. But for me, those are the types of things that can be trained into a footballer. What I want you to do in these said situations is run here, there, and here. Run off the shoulder, pull defenders out of position. These things are what Gary Neville, people like myself, have been talking about for ages. But what his defenders, what his fanboys try to do is discombobulate that and turn it into something that it's not. Say, oh, why do you want him to run it? He ain't going to be like Wayne Rooney. He's not going to crunch into tackles like Paul Scholes and Roy Keane. I don't want him to do that. I don't want him to do that. But he has to create space. He has to pull defenders apart. He has to give people a torrid time when he has the ball at his feet and when he doesn't. And sometimes that's about selfish movement. We used to see a player at Man United do that all the time in Javier Hernandez. Literally, I'm telling you this now. Anthony Martial is 5 times better than Hernandez all around. But the one thing Hernandez had in abundance was his work rate. And he would pull out to the left flank, the right flank, drop deep, run off the shoulder. This caused huge problems for defences, because you either go with him and you create a space, a hole, or you don't. You let him run off by himself. But if the quality of Man United's midfield threads the ball through to him, he's through on goal and he's deadly. This is what I want to see from Martial. Do us a massive favour, please, by the way, everybody tuning in. Can you hit that like button for us? Hit that share button as well. I really want as many opinions on this matter and this problem as possible. Emmanuel here says, what does he say here? I like the fact that Ollie represents a new challenge. Whether or not the fans and staff are for him is out the question, because the odds for success and improvements are at a peak. This is from Shadidi, who says, Terry, what do you think of Ollie so far? Do you think he will succeed? I've been impressed with Ollie overall. I believe that the start was amazing. Of course, there was an element of a bounce. Equally, I think that the same problems that Jose was talking about, that we as a collective dismissed, have now reared their heads. The Martial situations, the bad contract negotiations, players' heads being turned, and some individuals considering whether or not United is the right place for them to stay. And it's all happening at the business end of the season, which has created huge problems for Ollie. I'm not going to judge him until he's had a pre-season or 2, transfer windows or 2. He's been able to clear out some of the players that he doesn't want for either quality, attitude, or both of those reasons together. Then I will start to judge him with a firmer hand and really assess what he's doing, because at the moment he is still handling the fallout and mess that's been created over the last 6 years by this incompetent Manchester United board. Someone here says, Ollie must be sacked now. The players are weak because of him. I actually know you're trolling, but for anyone who does think that, this has been going on for 6.5 years now, and this is the turning point. This is the turning point for Manchester United, because if these players are allowed to behave this way, someone actually tweeted me earlier saying he's not surprised that Ollie isn't getting respect from some of the players because he is playing the likes of Ashley Young. And although I don't want to see Ashley Young play for Man United anymore, think about your logic. What you are suggesting is that the players have the right to not work hard, not attempt to play well, disrespect the manager, if that said manager doesn't pick the players, the formation, and select the tactics that they want. How that falls down is that you have 22, 23 players in a squad that will all have a varying degree of opinions on how a team should be set up. So how do you accommodate all of them? The fact of the matter remains, you cannot. You may agree with Martial because you don't think, for whatever his reasons are, because you agree with Martial, but there might be 10 players in that Man United squad that have a different opinion. Why are they not being appeased to? Why are they not being listened to? That's why there is a manager that gets to make the decision, and anyone who is not along for the ride needs to be cut out of the football club, period. Sully here says, Martial has to change or get rid. Ollie isn't a good enough manager either. Look, that's an opinion at the moment, whether Ollie is good enough or not. Only time is going to tell. He needs to be given full backing for him to be successful. The fact that half the Man United fan base at the moment is attacking him already, that's a lack of backing. If the board don't support him in this instance, that's a lack of backing. And those things will make any manager, whether they're a novice like Ollie or got the experience of Pep, fall down. So it becomes a little bit of a double-edged sword in many ways. For him to be successful, he needs full control. To have full control, some of the players that you fanboy and appease to are going to become casualties. And it's whether or not you agree that the club needs to improve over individual players. But it feels like a lot of people are backing the players. It's this fanboy mentality again. There we go. Ashley Knight here with a super chat says, I just feel sorry for Ollie. I think he should leave for his sake. Personally, it's too big for him, in my opinion. I disagree that it's too big for him. The one thing I've liked about Ollie so far is that he's not looked flustered. Of course, he's looked disappointed at results. He's been angry at players for their performances, but he doesn't look flustered. He's still cool and calm and collected in his press conferences. Where he will become frustrated is if the board do not back him wholeheartedly when it comes to this. Comment here says, Terry, I read somewhere that there are clashes in the dressing room because United are in favour of English players more than foreign players. Your thoughts? Well, again, I don't know who's put that. There is definitely an Anglophobic attack on Manchester United at the moment. There is a lot of abuse for the English born and bred players, the academy players, which is so strange because under Jose Mourinho, all we did is bemoan the fact that he wasn't the right manager to bring through our academy players. We now have somebody in a setup that will adhere to that aspect of the Man United way of trying to develop youngsters, and we hate it. The polarised nature of the same Manchester United fans is borderline mental health. There is borderline mental health issues here from people, and it's the want for instant gratification, and when they do not receive it, they go crazy. Now, is there favour for English players over foreign players? I believe not, in no way, shape or form. There are, you think about players who have been in and out of form. Look at the support that Ollie is providing towards Paul Pogba, wanting him to stay, playing him. Look at the opportunities that he's afforded to Lukaku. The only player who has been, that we know of, has been massively berated so far by Ollie has been Martial, but that's for his laziness. And I think that people have got to understand in life, in every walk of life that we're in, whether you're at university, school, business, sport, if you're better than me at something, but I try twice as hard as you, I will not be criticised by coaches, teachers, professors, bosses, as much as you if you try for trying less. So the more talented you are, the more of an expectation there is for you to work hard. And that's all that's going on here. I'm telling you now, if Rashford wasn't putting the effort in that Martial was putting the same level of effort in that Martial was, he would be berated in exactly the same way. Remember as well that Rashford is an academy player, and he is being told no, he's not earning the £200,000 a week that he's asking for, even after all this effort. So the Anglophobic, anti-English, anti-United Academy agenda that's going on at the moment, it's just a weak excuse for weak, feeble people that are defending their favourite players. It's not real, it doesn't exist. It's just an absolute false narrative, right from front to back, no doubt about it. Again, do me a massive favour, everybody tuning in. Please hit that like button, hit that share button as well. Craig here says, forget the 25% pay cut since they only play ball half the time, cut 50%. I agree with that. Someone here says, Rashford is crap, really crap. Yeah, I get that, but if you believe that, that's fine. I get your viewpoints on that. People tend not to be criticised for being crap as much as they get criticised for not working hard. Go through and look, go find your favourite actors, your favourite rappers, your favourite singers, businessmen, businesswomen. Go find the most successful people in the world and look at their quotes. Look at what they have said about success and making it in life. They all centre around hard work, determination and perseverance. So you're always going to be criticised at the elite level of any industry you work within or you're being educated in if your work rate is lacking. It's been the same since the dawn of time, and it's going nowhere. People are now trying to play down that working hard is an old-fashioned mentality, but these are just the people that either themselves are unsuccessful and are going nowhere and don't want to put the hard work in and want a handout, or they're defending people like Martial, because Martial being lazy, their defence of this is to say, well, Rashford's crap and he don't get criticised. Completely different talking points. And Martial being lazy, doesn't matter what any other player in the squad is doing. Martial being lazy is his problem and can only be addressed by him. And the fact that you've now had two Man United managers running, Didier Deschamps, French legend Marcel Desailly, all say the same things about Anthony Martial, that he lacks conviction, that he lacks work rate, that he lacks effort. When is the penny finally going to drop with these fanboys and these individuals? When you are individuals that are dragging this football club down and making the job for the manager twice as hard as it should be. Jose the clown is a clown, says Terry. Sometimes criticism makes players perform better and gives them determination to succeed. Absolutely, of course it does. That's why you have to do it. At the same time, there comes a stage where I can only lead a horse to water so many times before I am going to move you on. And I don't care, it doesn't matter about the quality, it doesn't matter about the ability if you don't have the minerals about you to put these into practicality, to put them into practice and yield results. It falls down. Hugely it falls down. You have to work hard in life, regardless of your talent. Rashford has been worse and Jesse for longer periods than Martial though. Well, Alex, this is, again, no disrespect. One, that's not actually true. If you look, let's look from December till now, Rashford has scored more, created more, and put in many, many more much better performances than Martial. Martial's had, what, 3 or 4 good games under Ollie. So that's factual. Scored more goals, created more. That's a fact. Can't be disputed. But this isn't about who has performed the best, who is the best, who scores the most. It's about who tries hardest. I don't understand how you were conflating those two separate talking points. Ole Gunnar Solskjær didn't berate Martial for not performing well. He criticised him for a blatant lack of effort. There is a huge difference in those two things. They're not the same at all. It's chalk and cheese talking points. On the, it's crazy. I don't understand why people can't see that. I want to go back to another comment around there I wanted to look at as well. Criticism from fans is not wrong, but often it turns into abuse. Yeah, abuse is wrong. I'm not saying abuse Martial in any way, shape or form. I would never look at that. I would never do that. I would never do that. Pogba is like, there's a comment here about Pogba. It says, Pogba is like Hazard, but criticised more due to playing with trash players. Hey, look, Pogba, like any world-class player, is going to be criticised for poor performances more than, say, a Jesse Lingard, because the expectation is always higher. But there is too much criticism of Paul Pogba. People like Martial let him, Martial and Lukaku, they let Paul Pogba down every single week by not working hard on that football pitch. They genuinely do. And you will see, man, at some point United will come back. And you will see. When I look at Liverpool and when I look at City, the best two examples in the Premier League, the one thing that their quality players do, their more average players do, is they work hard for 90 minutes plus. That is the sheer fundamental difference between them and the teams below them. And how people miss this and deny it, it's just a weakness in you. And it's funny, because I was reading some stuff by Jay-Z earlier, and he said something where he goes, I'm going to stop. He goes, he said that you should stop debating with idiots, because from a distance it's hard for people to tell who is who. And it's true. So anybody now that can't understand the difference between ability and work rate, you're not going to get spoken to. You're not going to get spoken to, and you're not going to have that debate, because you have got to go and learn the difference between the two. I'm not here to educate anybody on that, and nor is any other sane thinking football fan. Terry, now in hindsight, would you prefer United waited until the end of the season before giving Ollie the contract? No, I wouldn't. I think that the downing of tools from certain players, the behaviour of many, although it's painful to watch and go through, it's exactly what was needed. That great run of form, and maybe everybody pretending to like it and, I love Man United, I'm going to keep working hard, that would have painted a false picture of where we're at with the squad, and it may have meant that a few mercenaries stayed. I think this will highlight to Ollie and the board exactly who needs to go, and it will help move things forward. It also is now presented the most amazing opportunity for the board and the management to yield power and retake control of that dressing room like never before. It was very easy for Ollie in the start to appease these better players and be nice and talk great to them without there being any real kind of issues or anything like that. Massage their egos a bit, tell them they're great, tell them all they're brilliant. It's when it comes to these challenging moments when they're being criticised or put down by the manager, how they react, what minerals they have. And I think that's been an element of the downfall. Equally, a lot of people are talking about the contract announcement and the poor form. We got beat by Arsenal and put in a poor performance against Wolves before we announced him. So this bad run of form, this lack of trying from players, came in prior to that new contract. People like to forget the facts of the matter always when it comes to criticising Ollie and Manchester United. But again, your salt does not melt steel. It will not bother me. I know the truth. We all know the truth if we're looking within ourselves and really understand where we're coming from. I'm going to do one more talking point here. Jack here says there's lots of questions about United's fitness. Did you see how out of breath Lukaku was after he makes a run? I did, and Gary Neville was spot on about that. If Lukaku could make 15, 20 runs a game like that, we'd score more and win more, because it drives teams mad. He doesn't have the physical ability to do that. And it won't just be Lukaku that's unfit, it'll be other players. The question will be, does this squad want to run and work harder? Does this squad want to be pushed to the highest levels? If a comment there says you've got to be committed. If you're not committed and you don't want to be at the highest level of fitness, you're never going to win the league again. They have to go. And it doesn't matter if you like the player, love the player, think he's beautiful, you love his touch, how he scores goals. If he hasn't got the minerals, if he hasn't got the determination and commitment to make Man United the best club ever, you're not, and you side with him, you are not a Man United fan. And I'll say that to your face, bruv. You're not a Man United fan if that's how you feel. One last comment here says, Martial has better outcomes than Rashford. That is an absolute lie. Look who has scored the most goals, created the most goals, put in the better performances. Go across multiple footballing websites and look at the player ratings, the goals, the creativity, and the performance levels, the distance covered, the work rate from Rashford against Martial. And Martial's more talented, but hasn't worked as hard and hasn't yielded more results. And if he had worked as hard, he may have got into that central row over Rashford and be playing more regularly. Managers will always pick the harder workers, the people that adhere to the tactics, over players that do not. And every manager would agree with that in the world, whether it's football or business, whether it's any kind of team sport. And if you don't agree with that, it's because you're a failure and you're a weak person yourself. Simple and as straightforward as that. Listen, everyone who's tuned in, I appreciate your love and support as always. Do me a massive favour and smash that like button for me, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.